Hey, Tracy.
Hello.
Hi, Fachi.
Hi, Gail. Hi, Tracy.
Hey, folks. How's everybody?
Hello.
Hey.
Good. How are you? Good.
Yeah, good. Eagerly looking forward to getting jabbed in the arm, hopefully at the end of this week.
Yay.
So you'll finally get 5G.
What's that?
People posting their photos of vaccination saying got the first dose of 5G, you know. This 5G.
Oh, that's funny.
Hello.
I get it.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Slow morning. Here in the chat. Here's Terry. Just resolved your comment. All right, everybody found us all of a sudden. Paste the link in here one more time, and then we can jump in. Quite a few topics today. Okay. Here's the agenda. Please add other things if you like. We have one discussion topic I want to try to make time for Terry, because I think I missed it when he added this and it unfairly got added at the bottom of the agenda. So apologies, Terry, but we'll try to move quick to make sure we get some time to go over your question.
No problem if you don't get to it.
All right. Any other stuff, feel free to add it here and we will jump in. Charter and elections, a little bit more discussion here. I think a couple of these look like copy paste, but then there's this middle one, which is new, right, Tracy?
Yep.
We already discussed the changes last week, so we can drop this part. Yeah. The news this week is that Tracy has a proposal now about how to start the process for each project to nominate a representative and then to elect the project representatives. So let me pull this up.
Yeah, and I thought I'd love to run it by this group first, and then I can stick things in a GitHub issue to get wider commentary. But yeah, after discussing with Dan, we thought it would be great to get the ball rolling on this sooner rather than later on project representatives for the TOC.
Yeah, so here is a proposed timeline week by week.
This is for the 4 positions that are project related, right? Trying to remember the.
Yes, that's right. So we have the charter now allows for 4 elected project representatives, where each CDF project gets to put forward 1 representative for their project, and then we have voting to pick those. So we have 6 CDF projects currently. So this would be if every project put forward a nominee, we would have 6 folks in this election, and then we would choose 4 of those to be part of the TOC. And so the main feedback, I'd like to get folks from each of the projects to comment on. What we'd be asking for is sort of, let's say, a 2-week period where the projects put their heads together. Typically the governing board or the technical steering committee or whatever is the top level body of the projects. And then they, through some internal process of their own choosing, they put forward 1 candidate to run at the CDF. So we have folks from Jenkins, Ortelius, and well, most of the projects here. So I'd love to go around by project and just get some initial thoughts. It's in a non-committal way, but just get a feeling of, is this sound reasonable or any concerns?
This is Tracy for Ortelius. I think it totally sounds reasonable for a project our size. I just don't know if a project Jenkins size, will they be given some way of creating a vote for their own candidate? I'm just wondering logistically.
We can, create a vote. We can also have our candidates. One thing that we need some time to organize that. So it's not something like we do it overnight.
Right. But you do have a way to set up a voting, because we don't. We would have to come up with some way of doing a vote.
Well, yeah, we are using a platform called CIFS for voting. We introduced it for governance elections. Basically, it's a system which uses transferable vote, and it's quite handy. And you can set up voting in a few minutes. So if someone is interested, I can show how to use it. You don't need a special account, and as long as voting anonymous, you also don't need to collect any special data.
Oh, like that would be awesome. If you could send me the link to it, let me dig through it. And if I need your help, I'll reach out.
Okay. Yeah, I'll paste the link in the chat.
So Oleg, any sense of how much time the community would need to put somebody forward? Like in many cases, I would imagine the candidate is a member of the top body, like the governing board, so that they can act as a bridge from CDF to the project itself.
Yes, so I think that so on the very tight schedule, we would need 1 week. Mm-hmm. So let's say we send call for nominations today, collect feedback, then do voting and approve the final candidate. At the next governance meeting, it will be next Wednesday. If we miss this time, then yeah, Jenkins uses open governance, and governance meeting is our end decision board. So if we miss this time frame, then it would be rather 2 additional weeks.
Okay, great. Thanks for that. And what about Screwdriver? Jithin, any thoughts on how this would work for Screwdriver?
I think timeline sounds good. We'll discuss it with during our next call with our community meetup on what the thoughts are. Timeline wise, it looks okay.
you have Tecton? Anyone want to speak on behalf of Tecton or?
I can just explain. They have a 5-member governing board who meets pretty regularly, so they should be able to figure out something here. I guess like we're kind of outsourcing the entire selection process to projects here, right? They could just have their governing boards vote and pick. They could
Exactly.
they could have a full election, etc. So depending on how projects want to do it, this could be a tight timeline or a short one. If there's only one nominee for each project, that makes it super easy too, and they don't even have to vote.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, the governing board could decide just within them. Let's say Tecton, if it was 5 people, they could just get together and just pick one person and put them forward, or they could open it up to all contributors to vote. So yeah, totally up to the communities and how they want to handle it.
Yeah, so I'm sure this would be pretty reasonable for them.
Okay, and Jenkins X, similar. I guess they're not quite as big projects, so.
I imagine it's similar. That within the leadership of the project, they will be able to select someone.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's great. And the last project, Spinnaker. Anyone here on behalf of Spinnaker? Otherwise, I can reach out to the governing board mailing list.
Haven't seen Isaac for a while. I think was the rep for that.
Okay, I'll reach out to Isaac and the alias.
Cool.
So the other side,
oh.
yeah, if you keep going, the one other aspect of it. So what one side is getting in the candidates from each of the projects. The other side is setting out the voter eligibility. And in general, we were looking to the Kubernetes community and how they run the election. So I think if in doubt, we're going to use what they have. And this is how they set out voter eligibility. On one hand, taking contributions from all the projects. And on the other hand, also making an allowance for folks who might get missed by that system to be submitted through a form for contributions that aren't tracked through GitHub, for instance. Any thoughts and comments on how well this would work? So, and just to be clear, this would be contributors to the 6 CDF projects as well as to CDF communities, so folks involved with our SIGs.
I think this should work and be pretty straightforward. This is inspired by how a lot of other projects like Kubernetes and I think even Tecton and Knative and other things run their elections.
Yeah.
Start with an automated system and then allow exceptions for cases where we know they're going to be needed.
And I lowered the threshold. I think for Kubernetes, it was 50 contributions to Kubernetes, but I put that down to 20, and that seemed to give us about 500-600 folks.
The only question I would have is, could you nominate someone for an exception? Because someone may feel very shy putting themselves forward, but if you could say, well, this person actually is very involved and I think they should have voting capabilities for eligibility.
Yeah, I think people can submit that form on behalf of others. I don't remember though. I see no issue with that. So.
Agreed.
Okay, so let's clarify that the form is, it's not the voter themselves who has to fill it in, but anyone can do it on behalf of a community member.
And has Ortelius been added to DevStats? I know there was a to-do item on that.
That's true. I think Ortelius might have gone straight into Lfx Insights. I believe there's an equivalent query we can run, so we should make sure we run it from both Insights and DevStats.
Yeah.
Great. And Dan, could you put a note in the, just a comment? Wait, I can do that.
Sure. Oh, you got it. Thanks.
So how is this validated? Does the voters have to register somewhere?
Yeah, so there will be a list of all of the voters, and then an email, if I'm remembering right, how Kubernetes and other projects run it. There's a list of voters, and emails get sent to the addresses that we have on file, which we should have for everyone that's contributed because of the CLA and other stuff like that. So you don't really have to register, but you get a link sent directly to your email.
Okay.
Right, let me switch
So
back over to the
if you
other
just
one.
go back to the dates again, so with the illustrated dates, what it would effectively mean is we kick off officially next Monday, and then that timing actually works out so that the winners, well, not the winners, but the elected office are announced at CDCon, which would be June 23rd, and then start their term from July 1st. So I think that kind of ties in quite nicely with our event and with the halfway mark of the year, which works well. So just based on this feedback, I think it's something Gail and I can go ahead and start working on. So what I'd like to propose is that I'll send some written details in the mailing list. But for folks who are connected to their projects, if you could go and kick off the discussions as soon as possible, and then we'll look to officially kick things off on May 3rd.
And Tracy, I just double checked Insights and Ortelius is not listed.
Okay. Gail, I may need your help then to get that resolved.
Absolutely.
Even I don't see Screwdriver in that list.
Now's the time to check.
Yeah, we should get those fixed.
If you have time, if you look afterwards, if you want to Slack or email me and let me know if you're missing, and we'll also do an audit as well.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so this will be a good time to get all those things fixed up.
Cool. Switching tabs back. Here we go. All right. GSOC, Tara.
Bunch of projects. Oleg has been glorious at doing initial whacking of mentors for review. I say that with love. He was very polite about it. I think we've identified a couple of projects that didn't meet the standards and kind of winnowing it down. We have an outstanding question, and actually now might be, I think I heard Steve and Tracy, an outstanding question on the Ortelius project. Steve, is this person someone that was already working with the project?
No.
No. Okay.
It is it's a person that is in university in Morocco.
Okay, so I know we have some concerns about the project, but we also have limited project availability outside of the Jenkins space. So I'm not, given that this is my only second time with the GSOC situation, I guess, Oleg, I'd love to hear maybe what concerns that you have as far as, whether or not weaker projects impact our spots allocation or how this stuff kind of works. We want to make sure we're holding the line as much as possible here.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, when the organizations apply for slots, they submit two numbers. One is minimum project slots number, another one is maximum one. So the minimum one is basically what is our preference to get. We are not guaranteed to get this number. And maximum is an absolute number what Google can provide. So historically, Jenkins used to receive something between minimum and maximum, and yeah, usually closer to maximum. But yeah, this is this range where basically the organization says that we are not 100% sure that we would take this proposal, but we feel that it's good, it's reasonable, and we have a mentorship team for that. So there is such flexibility.
So, I mean, we can include it in the minimum allocation and cross our fingers. And then if there's, for whatever
I
reason,
would
we don't get the,
prefer to abstain commenting on Artelius' proposal, to be honest.
that's fine.
Mm.
I'm just trying, I don't want to arbitrarily exclude anybody.
So
But
if
if
there
for
is
some
a
reason,
consensus among other org admins that we want to reserve slots for that, okay, let's include it in our application.
right. And if for some reason we get, we do not get enough slots to cover all of the projects that we've requested, then we'll have to re-review and stack rank.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like a reasonable process for everyone?
Do you have anything else that would work?
Yep.
Good.
Okay. All right, then we'll do that. I'm done.
All right.
Yeah, I was just going to say thanks everybody, admins and Oleg, for pushing this through and getting us to this stage.
Thank you.
Is landscape a scale topic here as we move on to the next one? This link is closed from 2 weeks ago, or we're just talking about how it got resolved.
I think that might have been a dupe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was a dupe.
Cool. All right. Ops World CFP is open. This definitely is a dupe, but it's always good to keep calling these out on purpose. This one is a dupe on purpose. Call for papers. We have another 3 weeks, it looks like. May 20th is the end for the CFP. And there is a track specific for CDF stuff, so please submit there. If you have any ideas. Next one, BOF. What is a BOF? Question
The
number 2.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, that's the birds of a feather for CDCon. So if you want to submit an application for your project, it'll be first come, first serve.
And I think I can share an update here. I believe we've had submissions from every project and all the SIGs, and I think we managed to work it out that there were not too many people clamoring for the same spot, so everybody got their first choice session. With the exception, the only one that's not fully scheduled yet is the best practices SIG, and we've got a couple of options of how we might run that. So we're seeing if we'll keep it narrowly focused or wider focused. So yeah, thanks for folks who volunteered to run those, and I think you should start seeing those in the schedule. And Jackie, I didn't. Do you want to give just a general other CDCon update on registrations?
Yeah, sure. So yes, over the weekend we crossed the 2,000 registration mark. So as of today, we are at 2,043 folks registered. The Jenkins Contributor Summit has 248 folks registered. GitUp Summit has 864. Spinnaker Summit is at 592. So we're really healthy in registrations. We also yesterday had some more requests and inquiries on some startups inquiring on sponsorship sales. But as of right now, we are projected to close at 269,500. If those additional sponsorships come in, then we'll close at 283. So we would have met our goal and surpassed it by $83,000. Best case scenario. Otherwise, it'll be about 69.5. So yeah, we're doing really well. And like we mentioned, just scheduling right now speakers and getting them to start scheduling their recording session with Tim. But yeah, I think that's the biggest update for CDCon.
Wow. Numbers are huge. Great job, everybody.
All your great talks attracting people to register. So thanks for those. And just as a final mention for folks who attend the outreach meeting, I believe next Tuesday we are aiming, if everything goes well, to have the folks from Hopin come along and just demo some of the latest integrations. So they have some integrations with other platforms like Slido and Miro and Twitter. So we've asked them for a walkthrough so we can start to think through the whole conference experience and try and make it as seamless and useful for people and interactive as possible.
Cool. All right, fun time now. Terry's question about regulators.
Yeah, so let me give you some quick background. The hot topic of conversation for the MLOps SIG last week was the leaked proposal for regulation of AI and machine learning in the EU. And I don't know if anyone has actually had a look at it or seen any of the stories around it, but it's based on multiple serious misunderstandings of what machine learning is and how it works. And it's effectively a functional ban on doing machine learning in the European Union.
A ban?
So,
wow.
Yeah, because you will not be able to comply with the regulation as it's proposed at the moment. And the fines are in the order of 20 million euros a day or 4% of global revenues.
So, the 4%, that's a little lower for me.
Yeah, but really, really big for some of the players.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember this for GDPR. That was one of the first couple of rounds. It was completely technically infeasible to meet the requirements. So hopefully they'll have some iterations on this.
Do you have a couple of links, Terry? I've managed to miss this, but it sounds pretty significant.
I'll pop something in the Slack later on.
Thanks.
So as part of the discussion, a question was raised as to whether we should be getting involved in the discussions to try and help steer and educate the regulator to doing something a bit more rational. Obviously, that's a very big piece of work, and
I hear a volunteer. Sorry, Terry, I couldn't resist.
Yeah. So what I really wanted to do was raise that as a point of discussion to say, whether that's something that we feel the CDF should be getting involved in, or whether it's something that we want to steer clear of, and how we feel these sorts of issues potentially should be engaged with or not.
Yeah, no, I think like being able to reach out and involve folks in the conversation would be great. I guess my questions are mostly around logistics of, like, do we know who those folks are? Is there, do you have any thoughts on how we would engage, or is this something we'd have to go investigate and just figure out?
Typically with these sorts of challenges, there will either be an existing mechanism by which you can feed back information to this particular group, or it involves digging to find out who's actually working on this, and then making contacts and actually fighting your way into the right communication groups. It depends a lot whether.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it depends a lot whether the idea is that they actually want to create good regulation in this area, or whether this is more of a a negotiating token to try and rein in some of the large players in the existing marketplace. So it's not entirely clear yet whether this is being done in good faith or whether it's just part of a different negotiating tactic.
Yeah, and it's scoped at machine learning in general, so the whole space of machine learning.
It's actually much broader than that. It covers a whole bunch of basic statistical methods. So, for example,
actually, I have heard reference to this. Then, in that case, yeah, Bayesian filters.
Yeah. So there's the brief is that you would have to get third-party accreditation for any application that they deemed fell foul of the legislation, and there are lots of challenges involved. For example, they're thinking about this as an immutable release. So you would get accreditation on one version of a model, and that model would have to be immutable. So you couldn't upgrade the model without having to go through the accreditation process again. So it's a long way off understanding how things actually work in this field, and it's at the moment it looks like it's going to trap a lot of applications that are not even really machine learning applications, that are just general statistical analysis.
Yep. Okay.
Everybody hates math.
And now you're going to be fined for it, huh?
Yes.
Makes sense. I think this is something I'll go and just consult with folks at the Linux Foundation, because it does strike me as this is a kind of broader industry concern, and with the likely bodies like the LFAI will be also talking and thinking about this, as well as some other groups which have some overlap in this area. So let me go check in with folks and see if there's already been some discussion or some thoughts on this. And then based on that, I can report back, and we can see what our role may or may not be.
Yeah, obviously the point that we can make is that the roadmap as it exists today already highlights a number of the more significant challenges, and where it's feasible to put governance in place today, where we might be able to develop effective governance in the future, and where it's not actually possible to intervene. For example, some of the requirements say that you must train all of your staff to understand how the machine learning model makes a decision, which of course is not actually possible with many machine learning techniques. It's all going to be down to what's going on inside a large artificial neural network. And there are other restrictions, like requiring that you have a manual override switch so that a human can override the decision of the artificial intelligence at any point, which again is the guy walking in front with a red flag model.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so if you could send me just some of the links, and also if there's any links on kind of commentary that kind of shares that perspective or captures some of the concerns, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Imagine this is just the start of a very long ongoing conversation around ML and regulation. So yeah, it'd be good to start seeing how that fits in with the roadmap that's being proposed.
Cool. Anything else here? I'm being quiet on purpose as somebody that's not a European citizen, not an ML practitioner, no real skin in this game. So. Thanks for raising it, Terry.
I suspect there's going to be an industry response and probably a coalition of, normally enemies, but the enemy of my enemy is my ally. This has the potential for huge impact. So I suspect the Linux Foundation level throwing its weight behind that is the most likely outcome. But we should watch it.
All right, thanks everybody. Unless any last minute topics got added.
Oleg.
Wait, we did, yeah.
Yep.
Lfx Security and Jenkins.
Yeah, so not Jenkins specifically, just a quick update for others. So we are working on adopting Lfx Security for the Jenkins project. We hit some issues with regards to how our repository is organized and how our dependency management works. So we are working with the Lfx Security team and Snyk directly in order to resolve these issues. So if any other project considers using Lfx Security, if you have any obstacles, please let us know. We could include it into the same discussion.
That's
cool.
Maybe the email to the TOC, or what's a good mailing alias?
Yeah, I'm gonna send to TOC or whatever. But yeah, Lfx Security is currently expected if you use other Linux Foundation services, like, for example, Community Bridge, Lfx Mentorship, because it's a part of the dashboards. Also, if you want to have core infrastructure initiative, again, now points to Lfx Security quite specifically. So it may be transitively a requirement for graduation of new CDF projects. Just keep it in mind, but yeah, in general, it's just Snyk, so it's license scanning, dependency scanning, some code analysis. All is reasonable if you're interested to adopt that.
Do we know of anybody else who's doing this or about to do this?
Jenkins X used Snyk. I'm not sure whether it still uses it.
Yeah, I know you folks are ahead of the curve, I think, compared to the rest of the projects.
I don't know if Tecton or anybody uses Snyk. Tecton mostly uses like the distroless images, which are designed to not need a scanner. We're just rebuilding fast enough. But I played with Snyk myself occasionally.
Whoever uses Snyk, it sends us automatic PRs all the time, fixing bumping up versions in our dependency list. Okay, we are using the free version. It's an open source project.
Yeah, so Lfx Security is basically Snyk as a service provided by the Linux Foundation, and any project is eligible to use it if you're a member of the Linux Foundation or any child foundation like CDF. So you can just register your account there and get the service spanning set up.
That will be cool. We can look how we can change the current integration.
So for Tecton, I checked this hosted version some time ago, and it's enabled, so you can see the scanning going on. The thing that I was missing there was a kind of way to access that information programmatically, if you will, as opposed to having to go into the dashboard and look at the issues there. But still, it's good to have that information. All right.
Cool. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you. Have a good day.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks.